Mr. President, Suriname is one of the earliest Caribbean countries to establish diplomatic relations with China. Over nearly half a century since the establishment of diplomatic ties, the two countries have always respected, trusted, and supported each other, becoming strategic partners based on equality and mutual benefit. So, Mr. President, how do you generally evaluate the development of bilateral relations and the achievements of cooperation between the two countries in recent years?
Yes, thank you very much. Although, as you have mentioned, our bilateral relation is going back to 1976, to start up with a diplomatic relation based on also the mutual interests and also the interests of the both people to have strong cooperation. The relations going back to 170 years when the first Chinese indentured laborers came to Suriname to work as laborers at the plantation in the agriculture sector. So our relations going back very far in the history, and maybe based on the presence of the Chinese community in Suriname, we have managed to strengthen the relation in a more advanced way, because the presence of the Chinese community in Suriname had supported the people-to-people cooperation, which was existing already, and with now to start up with a diplomatic relation and cooperation, we could move to the next level, and that is strengthening the bilateral relation between Suriname and China on governmental level, on the level also of the private sector, to promote cultural cooperation, business cooperation, investment cooperation. So if you look back, yes, then we can come to a conclusion that we two countries are two strong partners in relation, in cooperation, but also that China is a strategic partner for Suriname in the developing of my country, but also in cooperating in several areas, which is in the benefit of both nations and both people, with mutual understanding and with also good and faithful respect for each other.
Suriname is also one of the first Caribbean countries to sign a Memorandum of Understanding and Cooperation Plan on joint construction of the Belt and Road Initiative with China. The two sides have achieved fruitful cooperation results under the Belt and Road International Framework. Mr. President, how do you view the contribution of the two countries' high-quality Belt and Road cooperation to the development and the well-being of Suriname and its people?
The Belt and Road Initiative from the Chinese government, and which is fully supported. Firstly, it is promoting the connectivity. If you want to play a very comprehensive role in the area of development, in the area of investment, but also if you want to strengthen partnership among countries, if you want to develop also intra-regional cooperation, then you need connectivities. And the Chinese strategy on the Belt and Road is giving opportunity not only for China, but all the partners also far beyond the Asian territory, also in the Latin America, the South America, the Caribbean, is giving the countries the opportunity to promote and to also develop their infrastructure. But the second part is the economic development, that those connectivity should create as bridges for economic development between several regions, between several zones. And I think that with this initiative, all the countries can benefit and to make good use of this strategy, this facility, to have also their infrastructure and their economy developed on these principles of Belt and Road strategy.
And as we all know, China and Suriname have extensive cooperation in disaster prevention and reduction, epidemic prevention and control, among other areas. China is a reliable friend to Suriname. The vivid practice of mutual assistance between the two countries reflects the concept of building a community with a shared future for humanity proposed by President Xi Jinping, as well as Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, and Global Civilization Initiative. So, Mr. President, how do you evaluate the above-mentioned concepts and initiatives proposed by China, and how do you think China and Suriname should strengthen their cooperation?
My country, Suriname, can learn a lot from China. China is still acknowledged as a developing country like we, but we recognize China as a country, as a very strong emerging development, emerging economy. And China is one of the leaders in the world in the area of development, in the area of economy, in the area of technology, in the area of investment. So our view as even we are a small nation is that we can learn from a big nation. China has a history with a lot of struggles, with a lot of challenges, very difficult time. We had that too. And we want to learn from a big nation how they have paved the way for their people so that the Chinese people has now a prosperity, has also the opportunity to have that, to take part in that economic growth. There is a world program that we need to save our planet. No country can do it alone. We have to do it jointly. We have a green economy based on a forest, which is 93% of our territory. That means that we have to preserve this forest with a sustainable forest management. There we can cooperate. We cannot address the impact of the climate change, but we can address it jointly with the expertise and the modern technology of China, which is happening already in the agriculture sector, to cooperate. The other area is the food security. So here is an area also for cooperation so that we can have also a program for the humanity in the world, and Suriname and China can play also an important role in the area of food security.
As we all know, the friendship between China and Suriname has a long history. Generation after generation of overseas Chinese have upheld the fine traditions of the Chinese nations, built homes, started businesses, and lived in harmony with people of all ethnic groups here in this beautiful land of Suriname. They have become an important part of Surinamese society. Since 2014, the Chinese New Year has been designated as a legal holiday here in Suriname, and more friends have joined in celebrating the Chinese New Year. So, Mr. President, what aspects of Chinese cultural customs do you find interesting or novel, and how do you evaluate the contribution of overseas Chinese to Suriname?
Yes, I'm not celebrating only the Chinese New Year, which is celebrated nationwide, which is celebrated by all the cultural and ethnical groups, but we are celebrating also the Moon Festival. I'm always special guest at the Moon Festival, I'm always special guest at the Chinese New Year, but we do have also our Chinese Immigration Day, which is celebrated widely. With these celebrations, the Chinese community is once again playing a very important role in the cultural diversity, but also in the diversity what we have in the community based on ethnicity, based on the language, based on also the culinary, the food. The presence of the Chinese community is enriching the Surinamese culture also. And all of the groups have managed to maintain their own tradition, their culture, their language. But jointly, they have created a Surinamese culture. We are a diamond, where we have a lot of groups shining And I think the world should come to Suriname and to see how so many groups are living together peacefully, celebrating each other's national day, celebrating jointly their cultural day. And this is what we want, and that is our strength as a community. And I know that a lot of people are very interested to come to Suriname. So I'm making good use of this interview to invite everyone to come and to see Suriname, its beauty, and the diversity in culture.
During these days of interview, we also found that the Surinamese society is very inclusive. So, and as we all know, cultural exchange is an important way to deepen friendship and understanding between China and Suriname. And Mr. President, do you have any plans or proposals to further promote bilateral cultural exchange and people-to-people exchange?
Yes, there was strong cultural exchange which we need to keep, particularly in this year of the dragon. We have to have more dragon dance, jointly. My view is based also on where China is standing now in the world, that we can benefit from the investment strength of China. And that is what my philosophy is now. We need investment. We went through a very comprehensive reform program that we have managed to achieve now economic growth, and particularly in this phase of economic growth, we need investment. And you see, I'm inviting all the Chinese company. You will see also in my program, when I'll have the state visit to China, that 3-4 days are only reserved for the investment community, for the private sector, for companies, because we need them for the investment. We need them for the development of my country. And we do have opportunities in the agriculture sector, in the mining sector, in the sustainable forest management, in the tourism, in the infrastructure, in the bauxite industry, in the oil and gas industry, in the housing program. I think that we can manage to bring more high-level development in my country with technical assistance from China, with also financial support.
Suriname is also a practitioner of global biodiversity conservation with extensive terrestrial and marine protected areas. As an important of the Amazon rainforest, Suriname is of great significance to the global ecological balance. So, Mr. President, what common interest and cooperation opportunities do you think the two countries have in the fields of environmental protection and climate change? And how do you think the two countries can develop green and blue economies based on respect for nature?
I think this question is a very important one, because the most important program what we have to implement as world, as global community, is to protect our planet. And we have a joint responsibility as worlds. My country, Suriname, we are threatened by the impact of the climate change, but we cannot help ourselves. And what we need to do is to come with a collective program to reduce the emission, but also to look how we can make that transition towards that green economy, to that blue economy. We need that technical assistance, therefore we need also support. And I know that China has the capacity and also the technology to support us. And I believe that with our bilateral relation, we can agree on several areas of that climate change.
Mr. President, Suriname is a member of CARICOM and CELAC. So how do you think China and Suriname can interact closely and strengthen cooperation on multilateral occasions? And how do you think the two countries should jointly promote relations between Latin American and Caribbean countries and China?
Yes, I think that those cooperations are initiated already. The meeting what we had last year was the meeting in Cuba of CELAC and China. So China is already involved in the cooperation with the Latin American countries, And we do have also cooperation between China and the Caribbean Community CARICOM. The important part of this type of cooperation is promoting the South-South cooperation. The second thing is, based on this type of cooperation, we can improve also the connectivity between the Latin American countries and China, because up till now there is lack of connectivity in terms of airline connection, in the term of the waterways. So here's again, the Belt and Road Initiative can be implemented through the CELAC cooperation, through the CARICOM cooperation, based on the integration of the region, what we want, based on the joint agenda of China and the region as a whole, that we can develop plans, programs, and promote development which will be in the benefit of the entire region, and which will also promote the integration process, the economic activity, the trade business, the tourism, and those kind of things which are based on a regional strategy can be also supported by China. But in the area of cooperation based on multilateralism, I think we need to find also the areas of cooperation. And there are a lot of areas of cooperation which we can address jointly in the framework of CELAC, in the framework of United Nations, in the framework of other international institutions or mechanisms.
And now the One China principle is an international consensus. In recent years, more and more countries have recognized the One China principle. So, Mr. President, how do you view this trend?
Yes, when we started with the bilateral cooperation with China, based on diplomatic relation in 1976, this was our principle, to cooperate with China based on One China philosophy and policy. That's up till now our policy, and that will be also in the future. I think this is based also in the United Nations chapter, that we need to recognize countries' sovereignty and also territorial integrity, and that is what we are also respecting towards China, is sovereignty and territorial integrity. On the other side, it is also a clear vision for my people, which needs to have that people-to-people cooperation and relation. And I think it is also for the international understanding that we need to promote international peace. We need to promote also international understanding within the framework of the United Nations Charter, which is giving enough room how to deal with such kind of topics and issues.